So now we're going to talk about empathy. And I love, the metaphor, the picture of this little girl with, the stethoscope and trying to listen to the heart of another. And I like that as a beautiful metaphor for empathy. So being present with another person's experience with unconditional acceptance of the other person. And going back to our example, so if I had a story that you're being controlling, is it going to be easy for me to have unconditional acceptance of the other person? No, it's going to be hard, right? It's going to be hard to give empathy to someone else if you have these judgments going on. So, so that's why the root of the tree is so important. But hey, this is an introductory workshop, so we're gonna go with the idea that we can get there today, especially with, and it's probably easier with people you don't know. So being present with another person's experience with unconditional acceptance. And furthermore, empathy is a respectful listening of the heart. That curiosity is really important, and hopefully we can get there. And you're giving someone else your full attention, your presence. And sometimes we use words. So if you go back to that tree, there's the nonverbal empathy, and then there's the verbal empathy. So in class, we're going to focus on the verbal empathy today, but there's also just a quiet listening for needs that can be silently empathetic. So when I started my practice of nonviolent communication, I wanted it to be right. So the cool thing about empathy is it doesn't have to be right. And what's most important is your intention to connect. And today we're going to be focusing mostly on the universal human needs. And I have a sense that, Letitia, maybe would you be up for describing empathy in your own words?
Yes. I mean, the words that are on the slide are really helpful, but again, like sometimes you may see me nodding my head because I'm just like, yeah. It's about presence. I think the greatest gift that anyone can give is their presence. And so often the reason that we're missing connection and we're not satisfied in a conversation or in a relationship is because we're not getting that full presence. And it's a combination of listening to a person and to consider, being compassionate with yourself so you have the space to listen to them. But what I love about NVC is that it gives you the tools for this to be able to actually do it. So it doesn't feel like a sacrifice to give your full presence to another person. So it feels like a joyful exchange. So that to me is what empathy can be and has become more of, I guess, for me. Does that make sense?
Yeah, I love that. Thank you, Letitia. Yeah, so what is empathy? So, and here's kind of a colloquial, sometimes it's called street giraffe version of empathy. So about as simple as you can get is you're just acknowledging the need. So you want more collaboration, or you value beauty, or you're longing for connection and intimacy, or you love it when things are easy. So these are options you can use to, sort of make it sound natural, and then you just acknowledge the need. So the need, again, someone mentioned having a list. You'll have a list available on a link in the next slide. But after you ask this, the invitation is that you pause. So whoever's offering the empathy, you just, you put it out there, hey, so you're wanting more collaboration, and then you stop talking. It's so important to stop talking when you're giving empathy after you give your guess, your best guess or your intuition of what might be the needs behind what the other person is saying. And we're going to get into a practice situation. So we're going to set up breakouts again of 3 to 4 people. Letitia, if you could work on that. And this is what it's going to look like. So person A is going to answer the prompted question, and then person B gets to reflect back the needs that they're hearing, and using that simple structure. Hey, you're wanting more collaboration, or I see that you really value beauty and simplicity. And you just, so person B, and there's going to be, 3 or 4 people in a group. There's only one person A, but there's, 2 to 3 other people in the group, and they can all practice empathy as, probably after the 1 minute. This is a kind of a introductory workshop. And for those of you that have the PDF, if you click here on the right, this blue thing, you'll get a list of feelings and needs that might help you in this exercise. So Letitia and I are going to, we're gonna model this for you using a different prompt. So let's see, let's do that now. I'm gonna spotlight us, Letitia. And let's see. So Letitia, I've been talking a lot. I'd love it if you could answer the question first. So tell us, you willing to tell us about one of your happiest times?
Sure. One of my happiest times was when it was the probably the moment following my test. I did a 200-hour yoga teacher training in 2019, and 200 hours over the course of 3 or 4 months. And it was, difficult, not what I expected, but really, really satisfying. But our final test is having to teach and in front of my teachers and my entire class. And I've probably never been more nervous in my life than that 20 minutes. And the minute it was over, it was like, because I had done it, I had just done it. And thank you, I passed. I was really thrilled.
Yeah, I'm hearing a lot of celebration around maybe a sense of like mastery that you have the skills to be able to do it.
Yes. Yeah. Yes. I mean, approaching, I wouldn't say mastery, but I was moving towards it. I did something that was it was so hard to do. And I had no idea, when I decided to do the teacher training, I had been doing yoga for so long that I was very naive. I didn't think it would be that difficult, but it was really, really hard. So yeah, moving toward mastery.
Yeah, moving towards mastery. And I hear the celebration in that as well.
Yeah. Yeah.
Thanks, Letitia.
Thank you. Yep.
So let's
So
see.
how about you? Yeah.
Yeah.
I want to ask you.
Yeah. What is the happiest times? Gosh, wow, this is kind of big, but yeah, what came to mind is gosh, the moment that my son was born. Oh my gosh, we'd had a drought for months at a time, no rain, and right as he's as he's about to come to the world, these dark clouds moved down at window level. It seemed it got dark outside, and for me, my experience of that was like, wow, the angels came down to witness this. And then my son was born. He came out and he, we locked eyes, and my God, it was like instant. And I could like hear his thoughts. And he said something like, "I'm here, Dad. Now what?" So it was one of those, got like timeless moments that just, I'm getting teary-eyed right now just thinking about it. Just the beauty of this being coming into the world.
Wow. So that sounds like, I mean, when I'm hearing you say that, it's like a really transcendent kind of moment, and a connection with your son, but also with the divine, that's
Yeah,
important to you.
yeah, yeah. Thank you. It's beautiful. There's a lot more there, but you're getting me.
There's a lot.
Yeah. So why don't we set up some breakout groups? Because I want people to practice this.
Okay.
And you'll be using the same prompt. Tell us about one of your happiest times. And just take turns. One person will answer the question. Probably not everyone will be able to answer the question, but at least everyone will be able to practice empathy. So one person answers, the other person in the group would give empathy. And then after that's done, then someone else can answer the question until we run out of time. And we'll give you about, let's start with 6 minutes, 6 to 7 minutes, and then we'll come back and talk about it. All right, welcome back. And I'd love to hear how did it go? How did your empathy practice go in your group? Would love to hear from a couple of people, and then we're going to move into a closing round. We're almost out of time. So yeah, 1 or 2 people. How was your practice? Was it hard? Was it difficult? Do you feel more connected? Do you feel more at ease, experiencing joy? Or maybe you were frustrated. Miranda, go ahead. Please unmute yourself.
Hi. So I really enjoyed listening to the other women's stories and seeing the common thread between joy, that like most of it kind of boiled down to the same thing, the same needs, just different circumstances. And yeah, just watching them feel received by us fully. So it was easy.
Thanks, Miranda. Thanks for sharing. And Justine Smith, go ahead.
Hi there. I think this entire experience has been really great. And the little group thing that we just did, I have a question, and it's something I struggle with NVC a lot. And when we have printouts of needs and feelings in this house.
Awesome.
If I don't see it, like if I feel like I don't know it exists. Like I feel like I don't have the words or the vocabulary to maybe express a need or a feeling. Like we were talking about fulfillment and maybe like gratitude being a need. But I don't see that on my paper, and I haven't talked about that like in my therapy sessions. And so to me, it's like, well, like, is that a need? Is that something that everybody needs or that I am needing, and how to get that across? Like, I don't know, if I don't have the vocabulary for it already, I feel like I don't know it exists.
Yeah. I so relate to that. And just to echo it back, like when I was first starting my practice of nonviolent communication, I didn't have a grid for this. Like, and so what my teacher suggested that I do, and I did, and actually it's become this huge practice for me, was to put, either my feelings or my needs sheet on my fridge. And every time I go to the fridge, I would, stop by and check in with my feelings. What are the words that resonate for me on that page? Like, so I would look at the words and see which ones kind of like look a little bit brighter, than the others. And when that happened, I would like circle it in a different color, so you can be creative about this. And then, after a month or so, you'll see kind of a colorful, almost like a piece of artwork of all the feelings that you've acknowledged. And so for me, that was a great way of learning this, because there is a vocabulary part to it. But for me, the words are more like, they're like trailheads on a map, right? That the map isn't the territory. It's just a label, but there's so much more behind the label if we're willing to go on that hike, to actually go out, drive out to the trailhead and go on that nature hike and connect with nature and actually be there, then, if you just stay with the word. I don't know, was that helpful?
No, it was. It definitely was. Yeah, thank you.
Yeah. So there is value in studying the map, which would be the printout of feelings and needs sheets, and just remember the map isn't the territory. Thanks. All right. Okay. Not seeing any other hands. So what I'd like to do now is to move into kind of a celebrations and mornings phase, kind of a checkout of our group. So I'm going to start and restart this thing.